name is Miss Audrey, for those of you that don't know me, and I miss seeing everyone and hope you're all doing well. Today, I'm going to be teaching you guys about how the temple got rebuilt. So who came up with the idea? How did it start? Like, how did they decide they wanted to do this? So today I'm going to tell you all about that. But first, you probably are wondering, why do I have a cup in my hand and why am I wearing this thing? So it's actually for our story today. So the hat, it's kind of supposed to be a crown. So we're going to talk about a king. The cup is for this guy. He was a cupbearer. So I'll tell you about that in a little bit. And we're going to learn, like I said, about how did the temple get rebuilt, like what happened, who decided to do this, and then I also have a little bit of a challenge for you. So I have just been missing you guys so much and hearing about like all of your thoughts and what your imagination is like, and so I'm hoping that you guys will do me a favor. So what I really want you to do is, in just a minute, don't go yet, grab a piece of paper, like a white piece of paper, or it can be whatever you want, and some crayons or a pencil or colored pencils, whatever you want to use. And as I tell you the story, I want you to draw a picture of what you imagine it looked like. And then if you can email it to Miss Angie, her email address is right there on the screen. And she's going to share them with everybody and with me, and so we can all see what everyone's doing. So I'm going to run back inside because I think it's going to rain soon, and I don't want my crown to get wet. And while I'm doing that, you guys go grab a piece of paper, grab some crayons, grab some colored pencils, and get ready to hear the story. All right? I'll be right back. All right. Did you get your paper? I got mine. And your colored pencils? Okay. So remember, we're going to learn about who had the idea to rebuild the temple, right? Because Miss Angie told us that they were rebuilding it, but who decided to do that? So we're going to learn about that guy. And his name is Nehemiah. Can you say that with me? Nehemiah. Nehemiah. Can you say that fast 10 times? Really hard, right? So I got my trusty beard here. I've got my crown. I've got my cup. And while you guys were getting your papers, actually, I already drew some of mine. So I'm going to tell you about how Nehemiah started the idea to build the temple. And I'm going to show you my pictures. So get ready to draw. Put your imagination hats on, because I'm going to tell you about Nehemiah. Okay, so remember, there's this guy, Nehemiah. So remember I told you he was the cupbearer for the king. So basically what that meant is he was super, super important. So anytime the king wanted to drink something, he'd be like, actually he'd be like, put on my hat on. Nehemiah, come and drink out of my cup. And then Nehemiah would be like, yes, king. And he would drink. And he'd be like, I didn't die. You can drink it, king. And the king would be like, thanks, Nehemiah. And then, right? So basically, Nehemiah was in charge of making sure the king didn't die. Pretty good, right? So one day, Nehemiah, so make sure you drew my picture here. So Nehemiah, you can see him here. There's Nehemiah over there. And he's talking to his brother and some of his brother's friends. And he's like, hey guys, what's up? I heard you went to Jerusalem. And they're like, yeah, we sure did, Nehemiah. And Nehemiah's like, hey, like, give me an update. What's going on in Jerusalem? And they said, oh, Nehemiah, it's really bad. It's really bad. The whole city's burned. The temple's destroyed. It's terrible. And so, as you can imagine, Nehemiah is very, very sad. So I actually drew a picture of him. He was crying. In fact, the Bible even tells us, Nehemiah says, he basically went and cried when he was so, so sad. Because his home, right, like where he was born and where he grew up, was destroyed, and it was really sad. So he's really, really upset, and he's crying. But the really cool thing is that Nehemiah, like us, he worshiped God. And so when he's crying and he's so sad, he starts to pray to God, and he says, God, we, the people of Israel, we've done some really terrible things. And you told us this was going to happen. You told us that we were going to be expelled, right, from our homeland, and you were going to send this nation to conquer us, right? We've learned all about this. So remember, God sent the Babylonians, and he conquered Jerusalem and destroyed the city. And Nehemiah says, God, you told us always this was going to happen. And it did. But it's still really, really sad. And I'm just asking you to like restore your people, restore your city. And so, but Nehemiah was still sad. He hadn't really gotten an answer from God. So Nehemiah goes back to being a cupbearer, and he's, hanging out with the king, doing his cupbearer thing. And the king's like, Nehemiah, you look really sad. So the king would be like this, right? He'd be like, let me put my book on. Nehemiah, why are you so sad? You know you can't be sad around me. And then Nehemiah, he was so scared because back then you could not be sad around the king. It was against the law. You could die if you were sad around the king. Can you imagine that if you always had to be happy around this one person? Always, always, always. So scary, right? So Nehemiah, he's like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared. But you know what he does? Remember, he believes in God, and so he's like, God, please help me, please help me. And so he says to the king, he says, King, I'm really sad because I just talked to my brother, and he told me that the whole city of Jerusalem is destroyed, and I'm really, really sad about it. So the king, he says, I'm going to put my beard on again. He says, Nehemiah, how can I help you? How can I make it better? And Nehemiah says, well, you know what, king? You know what you could do is if you could give me a letter that says basically like I have permission to go back and rebuild the temple, and if you could command the person overcharge of all of the wood to give me wood so I can build a temple, build walls of the city, and build a house for me to live in, that's what would make it better. And you know what the king said? He said, Nehemiah, you got it. And so he sent him with a letter. So actually, I drew that picture too. He sent him with a letter, so you see the letter. And then he gave him all this wood over here. And so Nehemiah goes back to Jerusalem. And so he's got his wood, he's got his letter. And so he heads back to Jerusalem. But when he gets there, the people, the Persians who are in charge of Jerusalem are like, we don't like this plan, Nehemiah. We will see, So Nehemiah's like, I gotta be a little sneaky about this. So one night, he gets on his trusty horse and he rides out to see the city. So I know it doesn't look like much because I'm not a very good drawer, but this is the ruins of the city. So I don't know if you can see it, but I drew like little flames, and so he rides out and he's like, oh my gosh, the whole city, it's burned. And so he kind of gets an idea of what he needs to fix. And then, so he's decided, you know what? I know what I'm going to do. And he goes to the people of Jerusalem. So these are the people that didn't go to Persia or Babylonian. And here's Nehemiah. And he says, hey guys, we got to rebuild. We need to build a wall. We need to build a temple. We got a lot of stuff to do. And the people are like, wait a minute, Nehemiah. I don't think so. We got to do what the king says we got to do. And so Nehemiah's like, hey guys, don't worry. I got a letter from the king. And God's with us too. Like, God made all this happen. So get ready. We're going to build it. And you know what? The people are like, okay, Nehemiah, maybe you're right. Let's build it. Let's go. So pause. We're going to learn more about Nehemiah next week. But the people are ready to rebuild the temple. So that's how it all started. All with this guy who was really sad. He prayed to God. He kind of got really brave and asked this really scary guy, remember the king, and he asked the king, hey, can you help me out? And the king said, yeah, sure, Nehemiah, I got you. And then, right, he goes to rebuild, and it's starting to happen. So big things to remember, guys, that, as I was thinking about, wow, what does Nehemiah teach us? And Nehemiah teaches us that even when we're really sad, or maybe like we just don't know what to do, right? Like the whole city is burned and Nehemiah is one guy and he's just a cupbearer, right? He's not anybody that has a lot of power, but he knew somebody who did, right? He knew the king. And so God helped him, and God fulfilled his promise that he would restore the people. So remember, when tough things happen, when we feel sad, when we feel lonely, and we don't know what to do, we've got God. We can always pray to him, and we're never alone, right? So guys, stay tuned for next week. We're going to learn more about Nehemiah and what's up. So it was really great to see you guys. I wish I could actually see you through the computer screen, but love you all, and have a great Sunday. Bye.